For several years, people from Illinois have been leaving the state for other locales, and one of the most popular destinations is Wisconsin. I thought to myself, why is that? Is it just because it's a short distance away, or is Wisconsin just a better state and therefore it attracts newcomers? In this video, we're taking a look at the basic stats for both states to see which one appears to be better, at least on paper. I'm curious to know what others think about these two states, so leave a comment if you have a preference between Wisconsin and Illinois. Illinois is the more populous of the states with 12.67 million residents. In addition to its major city, Chicago, Illinois has 7 other cities with more than 100,000 people: Aurora, Joliet, Naperville, Rockford, Springfield, Peoria, and Elgin. Wisconsin's population is 5.82 million, and there are only 3 cities with a population over 100,000: Milwaukee, Madison, and Green Bay. So let's take a look at the diversity of the population in each state. Wisconsin has a demographic makeup that is 80.9% white, 6.7% black, 3% Asian, and 7.1% Hispanic. 5% of their residents are foreign-born, and 97.3% are U.S. citizens. 8.7% of the households in Wisconsin speak a language besides English, with the 3 most common being Spanish, Hmong, and German. And I'll be honest, I had never heard of Hmong before I started researching this, so if you are also unfamiliar with this, the Hmong people are an ethnic group from Asia who have never had their own country. They come from Vietnam, Laos, China, Thailand, and Myanmar, as well as other areas. As for the German, I'm not all that surprised by it, given the sheer number of Oktoberfest activities that occur in Wisconsin. Illinois' demographic makeup is 60.8% white, 14.6% black, 5.9% Asian, and 17.5% Hispanic. 14.1% of the residents are foreign-born, and 93.2% are U.S. residents. 23.2% of the households in Illinois speak a language besides English, with the 3 most common being Spanish, Polish, and Chinese languages. The University of Illinois draws students from all over the world, but some of their programs appeal to students from mainland China in particular, which is partially why Illinois has more of an Asian presence than Wisconsin, and why Chinese languages, including Mandarin, Cantonese, and regional dialects, are so common in the state. This might also help to explain why the people in Illinois are slightly younger than those in Wisconsin. The average age of Illinoisans is 38.3, and the average age of Wisconsinites is 39.6. Illinois is the more diverse of the 2 states, so in this category, it comes down to the individual and whether this is an important metric. Illinois has a flat income tax of 4.95%. Some members of the state government were pushing for a graduated tax rate in 2020, but it failed to pass. Wisconsin does have a graduated tax rate, so those who were opposed to Illinois adopting one might not like Wisconsin. According to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue's website, there are 4 income tax brackets ranging from as low as 3.54% or as high as 7.65%, so rich people would be taxed less in Illinois than in Wisconsin. However, Wisconsin sales taxes are lower. According to taxfoundation.org, if you combine the state and local sales taxes, Illinois has the 7th highest, while Wisconsin is the 2nd lowest. If you live in Illinois, or you visit often, you might have noticed that filling up your vehicle's gas tank seems to cost more now than it did a few months ago. That's because the gas tax went up again on January 1st from 38 cents per gallon, which was double what it was in 2019, to 50.1 cents. The Wisconsin gas tax is 33 cents per gallon, so if you spend a fair amount of time on the road, Wisconsin is the better deal. In addition to all of the normal taxes, Illinois has gone crazy with what they refer to as sin taxes. For example, if you happen to be a smoker, there is a $2.98 tax on each pack of cigarettes sold, so if it doesn't affect your health, it could affect your wealth, or lack thereof. Wisconsin also imposes a tax, but it's $1.77 per pack. I think for this category, even with the higher income tax, Wisconsin is just the better deal all around once you add up the myriad ways that Illinois siphons money out of your pocket. Most of Wisconsin has a warm summer, humid continental climate, but the southern part of the state is hot summer, humid continental climate. The highest temperature on record was way back in 1936 when it reached 114 degrees, and the coldest temperature was in 1996 when it fell to -55. Most of the state sees an average of 48 inches of snow each year, but the northwestern portion of the state can get up to 160 inches. The average temperature in July is 80 degrees, and in January it's 23. Illinois has 2 climates. In the northern half of the state, it's a hot summer, humid continental climate, so there are cold winters and hot summers, similar to southern Wisconsin. The southern half of Illinois experiences a humid subtropical climate, so the amount of snowfall varies wildly from one end of the state to the other. The Chicago area will typically get around 38 inches of snowfall, while the southern tip gets an average of 14 inches. The average temperature in July for the middle of the state is 86 degrees, and in January it's 33 degrees, so Wisconsin is definitely the colder of the two states, and they receive more snowfall, as expected, given their geographic location. But Wisconsin takes advantage of the cold weather by promoting winter activities like hockey. I think this category comes down to whether you prefer winter or summer weather. Some of us will tolerate the cold if we can get away from the scorching dog days of summer, and some of us prefer to deal with heat if we never have to wear a parka. It all comes down to personal preference. One of the largest expenditures for the average family is housing costs. According to Wallet Hub, the average home price in Illinois is $194,500, and the Prairie State has an effective property tax rate of 2.27%, making it the second highest property tax in the country, with only New Jersey being higher. The amount of taxes paid, however, can vary depending on where you live in the state. Each county sets its own rate, so it could be more or less than the 2.27%. If purchasing a home for the median price at the effective tax rate, the annual bill would be $4,419. The ownership rate in Illinois is 66.1%. For the third of the population who rent, they pay an average of $1,010. Now let's look at Wisconsin's housing costs. The median home price in the Badger State is $180,600. They have the sixth highest effective property tax rate at 1.85%, so if a person bought a home for the median price, they would have an annual tax bill of $3,344. Homeowners account for 67% of the households. Those who rent pay an average of $856. So Wisconsin homes are cheaper to buy. The taxes average $1,000 less than Illinois homeowners pay, and renters in Wisconsin pay less than renters in Illinois. I think Wisconsin is a clear winner when it comes to housing expenses. In both Illinois and Wisconsin, two of the most common job titles are truck driver and registered nurse. Wisconsin's third most common is laborer, and Illinois' is manager. Both states list surgeon as the highest paying job, and they also list the three most common industries as restaurants and food service, elementary and secondary schools, and construction. As for specialized jobs, Illinois has 3.11 times more astronomers and physicists than expected. Wisconsin has 7.9 times more people working in dairy product manufacturing than expected for a population of its size, but we already knew that Wisconsinites pride themselves on being cheeseheads, so that's not a surprise. The median household income in Illinois is $65,886. Wisconsin's income is lower at $61,747. In addition to a higher median income, the minimum wage is also higher in Illinois at $11 compared to $7.25 in Wisconsin. However, despite the lower income and wages, Wisconsin has fewer people living below the poverty line. Wisconsin's poverty rate is 10.4%, with women between the ages of 18 and 24 being the most affected. Illinois has an 11.5% poverty rate, with women ages 25 to 34 being affected the most. My guess would be that Illinois' higher poverty rate would be due to the state being more populous, so there would be more people working in lower wage jobs, adding to the poverty rate. In both states, workers have an average commute of more than 20 minutes. I think for this category, deciding which state looks better might come down to the type of job a person does. If you're working in an industry that is typically minimum wage, Illinois might seem better. How healthy or unhealthy are these two Midwest states? In both, the leading cause of death is heart disease, which is no surprise, since that is the number one cause of death in the U.S. as a whole. Illinois has an adult population that is 31.1% obese and 61.8% overweight. That means that only 7.1% are at a healthy weight, and 15.8% of the children are either overweight or obese. Wisconsin fares a little bit worse with the adult population. They have 32% who are obese and 62.4% who are overweight. As previously mentioned, they love their cheese. However, children in Wisconsin are a little bit better than Illinois when it comes to weight. 13.5% are either obese or overweight. One health issue that is becoming more prevalent is diabetes. In Illinois, 9.5% of the adult population is diabetic and 7.3% are pre-diabetic. In Wisconsin, 8.6% are diabetic and 6.5% are pre-diabetic, so the numbers are similar in both states. Another measure that health experts use to determine how healthy a region is the infant mortality rate. Illinois' rate is 6.5 out of 1,000 births. Wisconsin's is 6.1 per thousand births, so again, very similar numbers between the two. Access to healthcare may be limited by a person's ability to pay for services. In Wisconsin, 5.41% of the residents go without health insurance. In Illinois, the uninsured population is 6.81%. With fewer people uninsured, fewer obese and overweight children, and fewer diabetic adults, I think that Wisconsin has a slight edge over Illinois in this category. Women in both Illinois and Wisconsin tend to be more educated than the men. On average, 40,000 more women than men attend college each year at Wisconsin institutions, and 15,000 more women than men are awarded degrees. In Illinois, since there is a larger population, the gap is even more pronounced, with 111,000 more women than men being enrolled in colleges and universities annually, and 32,000 more women earn a degree each year. With more women going to college, it makes sense that both states list the female-dominated career path of registered nursing as their most popular degree. The second and third most awarded degrees in both states are business administration and psychology. The largest university in Wisconsin is the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the largest in Illinois is the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. For some people, the question of where to go to school comes down to affordability, so let's look at the average costs associated with becoming either a member of the Illini or a Badger. In-state tuition in Wisconsin runs $6,535, and in Illinois it's around $9,170. Wisconsin's out-of-state tuition is approximately $14,268, and in Illinois it's $16,267. So Wisconsin is definitely the more affordable of the two states when it comes to higher education. Another consideration when deciding where to live might be how much crime is in that particular area. According to World Population Review, Illinois has a homicide rate of 7.8 per 100,000 deaths. They have a firearm death rate of 8 per 100,000, so that means some of those are self-inflicted. Illinois was ranked the 19th most dangerous state by USA Today because the violent crime rate is 404 per 100,000 people. Most people probably have Chicago spring to mind when Illinois crime is mentioned, but after adjusting for population, the city with the most crime is actually Danville. It has almost twice the crime as Chicago. So how does Wisconsin compare to Illinois in this category? Their homicide rate is 3.2 per 100,000 deaths. They have a firearm death rate of 8.5 per 100,000, so that's considerably more people in Wisconsin choosing to harm their own person than in Illinois. USA Today ranks Wisconsin as the 30th most dangerous state, with 295 violent crimes per 100,000 people. The Wisconsin city with the most crime is Milwaukee, with 1,413 violent crimes per 100,000 people. That's 407 more crimes per capita than that of Chicago, so the largest city in Wisconsin is more dangerous than the biggest city in Illinois, but the state as a whole is safer than Illinois. For this category, Wisconsin is better overall, but I would recommend avoiding Milwaukee. Wisconsin is very much a swing state. Both sides are pretty much evenly matched, and this is reflected in their representation in the Senate. They have one Republican senator, Ron Johnson, and one Democratic senator, Tammy Baldwin. They have 8 representatives in the House, with 3 Democrats and 5 Republicans. In the 2016 election, 47.2% went for Trump, 46.5% for Clinton, and 3.58% for Johnson. In 2020, they went 49.45% for Biden and 48.82% for Trump. What's really interesting about Wisconsin is how the individual counties have gone. In 2016, there were 12 blue counties, and in 2020, there were 14 blue counties, so 2 were flipped in the most recent election. But if you look back to the 2012 election, there were 35 blue counties and 37 red counties at that time. And in 2008, the majority of counties were blue, so the state map went from mostly blue to mostly red, and now it appears to be slowly starting to trend to blue again. This is one state where every vote actually does count. Illinois, on the other hand, since 1992, has commonly been thought of as a blue state, and in federal elections that's mostly true. We have 2 Democratic senators, Dick Durbin, who is the majority whip, and Tammy Duckworth. Out of the 18 representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives, 13 are Democrats. In the 2016 presidential election, 55.83% of the vote went to Hillary Clinton and 38.76% to Trump, with only 11 of the 102 counties going blue. In the 2020 election, there were 14 blue counties, with 57.54% of the vote going to Joe Biden and 40.55% to Trump. Local elections in Illinois are a bit different. If you subtract those blue counties from this past election cycle, you're left with 88 red counties. So that means there are many Republican mayors, city council members, sheriffs, and other elected officials throughout the state. So what this really means is that there isn't much competition in local elections. In Chicago, Democrats are more likely to win elections, and in the downstate areas, the Republicans are more likely to win. For that reason, I think Wisconsin wins in this category. I think competition is a good thing when it comes to representation in government. It usually makes the elected official more likely to listen to the concerns of their constituents. Regardless of where a person falls on the political spectrum, the one thing most of us can agree on is that we want our officials to act in our best interests. So to recap, Wisconsin fares better in education costs, housing costs, crime rates, health, and taxes. Illinois scores better in diversity, and it's up to the individual as to which state wins in the categories of weather and politics. I think it's safe to say that Wisconsin appears to be the better state, at least on paper. If you have a preference of one of these states over the other, leave a comment, and if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe, and all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I remain stuck in the cornfield.